Hi, I'm William Bonanno, and welcome to this edition of Colonial Corner. We're off to a good start here in 2021, and we want to take a look back at some of the music, movies, sports, and video games that people were checking out during 2020. And to start us off, we're going to take a look back at some of the musical highlights of 2020 produced by myself, Nate Babcock, and Justin Gamerdick. Please enjoy.
Alfredo, the collaborative LP from rapper Freddie Gibbs and the producer The Alchemist, angles at the Italian mafia in numerous ways. From its cover art to the various gangster movie samples throughout, it shines light upon the lifestyle while acknowledging its ugliness. I can live out my closet before I go broke. I got too many cars, I ain't paying no note. Much of My Turn by Lil Baby focuses on life growing up and living in the streets and the rise to fame. Baby keeps alluding to the world he left behind, and his most evocative writing finds him in between worlds. Good news, that's all they wanna hear. Circles is the sixth and final studio album by American rapper and singer Mac Miller. It was released posthumously on January 17th, 2020 by Remember Music and Warner Records, and was being worked on by Miller before his death in September 2018. The album had been heavily anticipated as Mac was loved by millions of people who were familiar with his music and some who were not. Circles was a wonderful mark on his legacy and a great project release in remembrance of him. Folklore by Taylor Swift asserts something that has been true from the start of Swift's career. Her biggest strength is her storytelling, and her well-honed songwriting craft and her ability to paint a picture in the consumer's mind is uncanny. She displays these talents beautifully throughout the album. YHLQMDLG by Bad Bunny is an amazing and obvious choice for a dance record. A collection of distinctly Puerto Rican party beats that pays homage to the reggaeton's past and future. While Post Malone didn't release any music in 2020, he was still one of the most streamed artists in the world. His most recent album, Hollywood's Bleeding, in 2019, which included hit singles such as Enemies featuring DaBaby and a solo titled Circles. Lil Uzi Vert had a huge year in 2020. Fans of Uzi's waited 3 long years for the highly anticipated album, Eternal Take, that had been leaked and teased for years. Lil Uzi then went on to surprise his fans yet again with a collaboration album with feature titled Pluto Times Baby Pluto, which then would also release its deluxe version and consist of 24 unique songs. It was a big year for Lil Uzi Vert and his fans. We'll see if he can keep the trend going or if he will keep his fans waiting yet again. NBA Youngboy also had a huge year, dropping 5 unique albums and 6 singles with tons of features on his peers' respective albums. In just 365 days, Youngboy dropped albums Still Flexin', Still Steppin', 38 Baby 2, Top, Until I Return, and Nobody Safe, each consisting of around 16 songs. NBA Youngboy was having fun and supplied his fans with hits that will be played all over the world for years to come. After tragically passing in December of 2019, Juice WRLD left a hole in the music industry that still sits there unfilled. Juice WRLD's team released his first posthumous album, Legends Never Die, with many big features and awaited singles in the 27-song album in 2020. It wasn't just this album that put him amongst one of the most streamed artists in the world. It was his impact he had on the music industry since he entered back in 2018. He had captivated the hearts of fans all over the world, rapping about temptations, depression, breakup, and many other heavy yet relatable subjects that pertain to the world as it is today. Through his music, he saved many lives, and to see him gone broke so many people's hearts. He said many times prior to his death in 2019 that legends die young, and even making a song about it following XXX Tentacion, Lil Peep, and among others' deaths. In the end, Juice WRLD was right. Legends die young, just as he did, but their legacies live on forever. Drake released a 14-song project titled Dark Lane Demo Tapes in early 2020. Dark Lane demo tapes, or any project from him, had been highly anticipated, but this project alone is not why he's one of the most streamed artists of last year. Drake has been atop the industry since the early 2010s. He has shown his versatility and variety of flows throughout the years, and his uncanny ability to constantly put out quality music and hits is what keeps him on top.
about the movies and the cinema of 2020. Now, 2020 was kind of a crazy year, but we still did get some pretty solid movies out of it. Most notably from the director of the Dark Knight trilogy, Christopher Nolan. He also directed Inception, which is very popular. Came Tenet. Now, this was one that was disappointing not to be able to see in the theater. I actually bought it on release day on disc, so I could get a good view of it on 4K. And it's a decent film. It got decent reviews. It's been thought of as good, just not as good as Inception, which I think is a pretty good assessment. It's your pretty basic, action thriller movie with the mind-bending, story. It's definitely worth watching, and I think John David Washington was awesome in the main role, and Robert Pattinson was great as the supporting actor. So, no, definitely one worth watching. Another movie that came out this year was The Invisible Man. This is a horror movie, so if you're into horror movies, this would be a good one for you. But no, the main actress, Elizabeth Moss, as it says on the bottom, gives the performance of her career, which is very accurate, as this was a very good film. It wasn't the biggest, smash like how the Marvel movies are at the box office, and especially because the box office was so slim and minimal, as it wasn't even open for half the year. But this movie did pretty well when it came to selling tickets compared to other movies of the year. So I think it definitely deserves a mention. And no, it was definitely a good film. If you're into horror movies, it's definitely a good one to check out. Lastly, another one I want to bring up is Soul on Disney Plus, which had Jamie Foxx voicing the main character. That was another good movie, an animated Pixar movie, and the Pixar movies are always great. So, and this one you can't buy on disc yet, so I'm gonna have to throw it up in the corner, probably up here. But no, that was another good movie. Pixar movies always do well, and that kind of makes me segue into my next point, which is how digital releases were happening. Like Wonder Woman 1984 is another example. That was released exclusively on HBO Max on Christmas Day. I also saw that, so I'll throw that up. That movie was alright. I mean, the DC movies are such a toss-up nowadays compared to, like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, which were 3 phenomenal movies. Wonder Woman 1984 had its positives. The first one was really good. So, yeah, but talking about same-day releases and not, exclusives on certain, like HBO Max, Netflix. So now next year, HBO Max just announced that they're releasing tons of movies on the same day as the theater on their service. So, for example, like the same day that Tenet would come out in the theater, it would be on HBO Max, and you could watch it at home instead of buying a ticket, as long as you're subscribed. And some people have been happy by this, some people aren't happy about this. That's actually, Christopher Nolan has a statement that he might not ever want to work with Warner Brothers again if they don't put his movies out exclusively in the theater, because I think for lots of people that love cinema, it's a big part of movies, going to the theater to see them and experience them. And I think a lot of people did it to adapt to the pandemic, because people, even though the movie theaters are open, people don't want to go back. So this would kind of be a way to have people come back and watch their movies, without having to physically go. So 2020 was kind of a crazy year for cinema, but we still got some pretty good movies, and we have all these new announcements. So we just have to wait and see what's going to happen, because you never know. After this year, crazy things happen. So hopefully, cinema still lives on. We still got great movies. Make sure Tenet, Invisible Man, and Soul, go out and watch them, because they're three of the best that happened this year. Thank you for listening to my review.
2020 was a big year for video games. Because of the pandemic and everybody having to stay inside, this allowed new people to try playing video games for the first time, and also to give old players a chance to play games that they probably would have never played before. It also allowed us to celebrate things that we wouldn't have been able to because of social distancing, such as birthday parties. Here are two of 2020's biggest video games. Among Us was a game that blew up almost out of nowhere. It originally came out in 2018 with an average player count of around 50 people at a time. But because of the 2020 pandemic and multiple YouTubers and live streamers playing it, this caused Among Us to skyrocket in popularity, with averages of more than 100,000 people playing it at a time. Its simple yet engaging gameplay is what gets people to continue playing, with each game being different from the last. With tons of content and more coming in the future, with new updates, Among Us has become one of, if not the most popular game of 2020.
Minecraft originally came out in 2009. Over the years, it has decreased in popularity and then skyrocketed and continues to do so still. In 2019, the popularity began to rise again due to the 10th anniversary of the game. In 2020, it continued to stay just as popular and more people started to watch Twitch streamers and YouTubers play the game. 2020 was also the rise of several YouTubers who gained fame for playing Minecraft, such as members of the Dream SMP. The Dream SMP is a roleplay survival multiplayer server where members have created a complex storyline and do live streams acting out the script they have created. Popular members of the SMP include Dream, Tommy Innit, George Not Found, Quackity, and Technoblade.
Next is a clip of James and I playing Among Us with our friends. I was the imposter, which I did not like because I never like playing the imposter when there's only one.
Oh, wow. Oh, God, no. I am terrible at being the imposter. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. I have to do this thingy. I'm gonna go try and see if James. Oh, no, Aiden, hey, come here. Oh, gosh. Hopefully, I can actually get stuff done before they win, because I'm terrible at being an imposter, especially if it's only just me. So hopefully this goes well. Hello? Anybody in here? No? Okay. Where is everybody? Temperature.
This next clip is James trying to teach me how to play Minecraft in survival because I don't usually play in survival.
Yeah, so that's the survival world so far. We got a village over here that we just found if you want to come check that out.
Carl killed the
Come back
donkey.
here. Come back here.
Oh,
Give me back my diamonds. You got my diamonds.
just don't ask. All right, well, anyway. So yeah, this village, it's all right. I think we got a blacksmith.
Thank you for watching and we hope you enjoyed. This was only a glimpse at some of the games that were played in 2020. You should check out Minecraft and Among Us because they're great games to play with your friends.
And now, me and Nolan take a look back at a year in sports.
To start off the sports year in review, we have to talk about an athlete that has proven himself time and time again that he is the greatest of all time. Heading into his 18th season in the NBA, LeBron James was named the Time Athlete of the Year this year in 2020. In his 17th season, LeBron averaged 25 points, 8 rebounds, and also led the league in average assists with about 10 a game. This year, he also added another championship under his belt, along with being named the Finals MVP and was also an All-Star. There's no question that LeBron was deserving of this award.
This year's NBA championship was one like no other. There were no fans, and the playoffs were played in a strict bubble in Disney World in Orlando, Florida. There was very limited access on who could come in and go out of the bubble. The Lakers took on the Miami Heat in a series which the Lakers won 4-2, with LeBron being named the series MVP.
To finish off talking about the NBA, we would like to honor one person who changed basketball as we know it. In the beginning of last year, we witnessed what was one of the saddest moments in sports. Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 others were killed in a fatal helicopter crash on January 26th. The entire sports world mourned Kobe's death for days after, including a ceremony for him at the Staples Center. Legends such as Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal spoke on Kobe and his amazing accomplishments. It was a truly heartfelt moment. Kobe was a great person and basketball player that will forever be remembered as one of the greatest of all time.
This Super Bowl was one to remember, as it happened just before the coronavirus pandemic took the world by storm. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs were taking on Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers. The game was looking like a 49ers win, as they were up 20-10 in the fourth quarter, but the Chiefs scored 21 unanswered points to secure their Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes was named the Super Bowl MVP.
This NHL championship was a close one. The Tampa Bay Lightning were taking on the Dallas Stars in this year's Stanley Cup. It was close, with each team only ever having a 1-game lead until Game 6, when the Lightning were up 3-2 on the series. They then beat the Stars 2-0 to claim their Stanley Cup win. Victor Hedman of the Tampa Bay Lightning was named postseason MVP after winning the Conn Smythe Trophy.
After a shortened season of only 60 games and an additional round of playoffs, the Los Angeles Dodgers took on the Tampa Bay Rays as the Dodgers searched for their 7th World Series. And they did just that. With the series tied up at 2 apiece going into Game 5, the Dodgers took Game 5 and then took Game 6, holding the Rays to just a single run. The World Series MVP was Corey Seager, the Dodgers' star shortstop.
As a whole, the NFL restart has been one subject to the new rules and regulations caused by COVID-19. The NFL has been thoroughly enforcing mask rules and justly punishing teams for it. In Wild Card Weekend, we watched the Rams beat the Seahawks, the Buccaneers beat the Washington football team, the Bills beat the Colts, the Saints beat the Bears, the Ravens beat the Saints, and the Browns beat the Steelers, who Corvette their way out of their second seed of the playoffs. The Packers and the Chiefs both had first-round byes. The divisional slate is set as the Chiefs will take on the Browns, the Ravens will take on the Bills, the Rams will take on the Packers, and the Buccaneers will take on the Saints. And that was all the big news for pro sports this year. Hopefully 2021, we get to see all of these pro leagues start to get back to normal and see all the sports we know and love. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Miranda Campbell, and me and Kate Mistracchio interviewed a couple students and a teacher to hear about their thoughts on how much school has changed from early 2020 last year and what it's like now as we move into 2021.
This year, school has looked very different. From having half the class on Google Meet to having one-way hallways, a lot has changed. When in school, our desks are 6 feet apart and we have to sanitize before and after class. It has definitely been a lot to get used to.
What's it like to be a hybrid or virtual student?
I'm a hybrid student and I like being able to stay home, but I miss being able to see my friends.
Virtual student, and I would say it's fun to be at home, but you have to be self-sufficient.
Really stressful because going back and forth between being at home and being at school is like not really a stable schedule. It's not really like you're being good. And then the teachers at least my teachers tend to teach the online students, like going to school feels pointless.
What's it like having to teach hybrid and virtual students at the same time?
I think I do like it because obviously we have to stay safe and it makes sense, and I appreciate that the administration acknowledges that but still wants you to get the same quality education. At the same time, it's hard because you want everyone to feel seen as a teacher, you want everyone to feel heard, and I feel like students feel like they're slipping through the cracks in that sense, because you want to give your attention to as many people as possible, but at the same time you have like 20 kids online, you'll have 2 kids in class, so it's hard to kind of give the attention to everybody equally. But either way, I think ultimately it's the best that we can do, and I appreciate that everyone's just giving their all and really kind of diving headfirst into this. No one was prepared, no one was trained for this kind of a world, so yeah, everyone's doing their best.
What is the biggest change you've had to make this school year compared to last year?
For me, the biggest change is managing my time in the constantly changing schedule. Having the motivation to stay focused during school.
Probably like time management, or just like not having things to do after school, because last year I had swim and then I would do my homework. Like this year it's kind of just like after school I do my homework for like a really long time.
I will say, so this is my first year of teaching, but to become a teacher you have to teach twice for about 6 months. So I taught 8th grade and I taught 11th grade at a city high school. And because I think I'm coming out of a teacher preparation program, I'm kind of trained to know technology, to be very heavily dependent on technology anyway. So I don't think it's had to be too much of a switch for me. I commend all of the veteran teachers because I think they've had to do more of the switching around and readjusting. They've gotten used to their style of teaching. They've been doing it for either decades or even just 1 decade or less, but they're used to it nonetheless. So for them to have to relearn all these new platforms and switch everything over is really difficult, I know, for them. For me, personally, that was the question. Trying to find ways to make everyone feel heard. Like I said, I don't want anyone to feel like they're slipping through the cracks, and luckily I don't have any classes that are completely quiet. I always have a few vocal kids, but at the same time, there's still a lot of quiet kids. And so I'm trying to find modes that allows everyone a voice and everyone to answer a question. So that's why I love the Paradex, because I can just read right off there and I can make sure everyone's not falling asleep on me, and everyone gets that chance to be vocal.
What do you think is the most difficult part about switching from a 50-50 hybrid schedule to a 100% virtual schedule?
I've been on virtual all year, so I don't know. The hardest thing for me would be the inconsistent sleep schedule.
Like I said earlier, it's kind of like it's not stable. It just adds to the stress of like, am I supposed to be like, are we in school, are we at home? It's not a constant, I know this was happening.
For me, I tend to work better personally, and I'm sure this is the same for a lot of students, if I can separate the space where I relax and I can kind of rest versus the space that I work. So when we were hybrid, I was able to stay at the school till 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock if I needed to grade a lot of stuff, or if I needed to do a lot of lesson planning, because I like to keep them separate. I find it easier to switch then between working mode and going ham there, or just relaxing at home and not feeling like I have something over my head. And now that it's kind of all in one spot, like, it's hard to separate the two and to really define those lines for myself and be able to balance both.
Do you prefer how school is running now or how it was last spring?
I prefer last spring because I don't like Google Meets. Last spring because I find Google Meet interactions awkward.
The end of last spring was less stressful, but I think now, like, I'm actually at least getting something out of it, so I guess now.
So I've heard, and this is more so from like people have told me about what it was like. Students seem to have liked that better because it was self-paced, and they said, a lot of them said that they could be done with school by 10 o'clock in the morning and just have the rest of the day to themselves. But I know also there are a lot of students who struggle with time management. I feel like high school is really the first time that you get to manage your time yourself, and that's your best chance to learn how to do it. So I know that can also be a con for a lot of students. So I think I like this better just because then I get to be there with the students, guiding them, and I can be there for any questions. And once I turn on that Go Guardian chat, I get like a multitude of inbox and flow of questions that I don't think would have gotten asked otherwise. So,
what do you miss most about normal school?
I miss hanging out with my friends at lunch. School, sports, and seeing my friends at lunch.
Like the socialization aspect, like being able to see my friends in between classes, like being like a joke in class, both the teacher and the teacher.
So I saw this thing, I don't know if it was on Twitter or some social media platform, and they said that a lot of teachers are dealing with teaching right now without those moments that make it so special. So when students come in during lunch, or when you get to stay behind like after school, after hours for a game, and like bond with students that way, or even just all like having an inside joke with a class is so underrated. It's the best way to build a classroom culture and to make everyone feel included, even if they're quiet or if they're one of the louder kids. So not being able to just be physically together and build something from that is pretty difficult, but we're doing our best. And I think everyone's trying, so.